Hi everybody, it's Deb here. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a great day. And you guys, today we're going to be using the scrapbook kit over from Jolie. This is the March Scrapbook Kit, and we are featuring the Stamperia Secret Diary paper, and you get a ton of goodies in here. You get two beautiful trims. You get the little craft film strips, and I used these film strips on my last album, or the folio that I made, and for February, sorry, for February, but they were in black. These are in a craft theme. So, and then you get some pages, book pages, you get some flowers, and then you also get these beautiful little paper clips that have little bows on them. So if you haven't seen this paper, I will put the link here down below for you to check out the reveal. And yeah, you guys are going to love it. So yeah, you ready to get started? I am. So let's get started. Okay, so to start off with, we're going to go ahead and cut our 12 by 12s down to 7.5 by 12, and you're going to need 4 sheets. If you have more, you can add more in here. I just used 4 sheets, and then I used a couple of filler papers that were already previously coffee dyed or tea dyed, and I stuck those in here. So, and then you'll grab other items that you have in your stash. So like if you have a paper bag, or you have some book pages that maybe you tore out, or you do get some in this kit, and like I have like these little policy envelopes and library envelopes and things, you can use those. So here on the left side of your this is going to be your cover of your book. You're going to put down some tape, and then I go ahead and put a little bit of glue on top of the tape, and you're going to go ahead and cut out another piece that is 4 3/4 by 7.5, and you're going to go ahead and adhere that on to the right hand side. Okay, and that is how we're going to go ahead and do that. And this is going to be your closure. You're going to place all of your items that you want in the book in the inside of that fold, and you're going to go ahead, and now you're going to have a big flap on the right hand side. You're going to go ahead and score that flap at 6.5, 6 5/8, 6 3/4, and 6 7/8. Then in the middle of your book, you're going to score at 5 7/8, at 6 1/8, and 6 1/4. Now I didn't do the 6 1/4, but I recommend that you do, so that way you have enough room for, for adding more pages or whatever you want to do. Next, what I did to make that little flap really pretty is I took my die and I just traced that little bracket there, and I went ahead and just brought that over to the edge of the how big the sheet is, because you don't want to cut down your flap. So you still want your flap to be at 7.5 inches, so it's the same width as your book, right? So I just went ahead and drew the lines a little bit larger over. And you'll see here in a minute, as I'm cutting it out, it's still the same size as the book, and I'm just cutting along that edge that I traced. So that's how I got that look there. And you can do this with any die. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead, all of those score lines that you did, you're just going to fold them in. So that way you have everything folded and ready to go. The next step we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sew everything inside of our book. Okay, so before we start sewing, you want to go ahead and I am just putting some large paper clips on top of the book to hold it in place, and then I'm going to start poking my holes. And I'm just using a pokey tool. I know there's some other tools that you can use, but I just use this, and it's what I've had in my stash for a long time, so I just use this one. And you'll just go ahead and poke your holes, and then you'll thread your needle, okay? And I am using some twine, and then I'm just going to go ahead, go back and forth, go back in through the middle, and then we'll tie our knot. So here I'm just tying the knot, and then I'm going to go ahead and clip that off. And then your book is ready to go ahead and decorate. Now the next little thing is we're going to make some paper buttons, and to do that you're going to need to use a 1-inch punch, circle punch, okay? And you're going to cut 3 black cardstocks. You're going to go ahead and put those together. The next one is going to be at the top of your button, so you're going to use that. And then you're going to go ahead and punch your holes. And I just used my little hole puncher by We Are Memory Keepers. And then you're going to go ahead, and once your holes are punched, then you're going to go ahead and just tie some twine in between to make them look like a little button. And then this is actually going to be our closure that we're going to be making. And again, you can make as many as you want and use them sporadically throughout your journal. I only used one, and that was for the closure. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and place our lace on top of the back of our button with a glue dot. And then I grabbed another glue dot and I used that on top of the lace that was already attached to the button. So you'll have 2 glue dots that are, holding down that lace piece. Then we're going to go ahead and you're going to place that on top of your flap. Now I'm placing it on the right hand side. You can place yours either on the right or the left hand side, whatever is easier for you. Then we're going to go ahead and just wrap this around our little flap here, and you're going to go ahead and cut down your lace to however much you would like it to hang. I didn't like mine hanging too low, so I just left it like that. And then on the back, if you don't like seams like I don't, I went ahead and used the remainder of the lace to kind of cover up that little seam by using some glue. So I used some glue, just attached that lace right on the edge there on the inner side of the book to cover up that little seam. And that is it. Okay, so now we're moving on to decorating some of our pages, and I am giving you just a few snippets of what we're doing. So for the first, it's the back page of the cover, okay, we're just going to go ahead and tear one of those book pages in half, and you're going to use this as a pocket. So you're only going to place glue up on top of the top part, the side, and then the bottom, and you're going to leave that right side open so you could slide little notes or note cards, whatever you want to put in there. Then we're going to go ahead and attach some of our lace on the side. Okay, so to get started with this, I went ahead and cut out a bunch of ephemera pieces, and I went ahead and distressed them all with my little distress tool that is there laying on the side, and then inked them all up with using walnut stain. I had this little vintage paper or picture that was in my stash, and I have a bunch of them from years and years and years ago, and they're just digital prints that I printed out, and then I made them large and small, and so I had some left, and I thought this would be a good time to stick them in this little book. So here I am making a tiny little mini envelope, and so I just used a 2-inch square, and then, you know, distressed it, inked it, and then I'm just folding it in to make an envelope. And you can do this with any square, like 4x4, 6x6. I do this a lot using little squares like this, and just making little mini tiny envelopes. They're just great to stick little things in, especially if you have little and small ephemera pieces that you can stick inside, and they're just perfect. So I went ahead and inked it up, and then we're going to glue it down here just like that, so it looks like that letter was in that little envelope. And then we're going to actually stick a little stamp. It's a little tiny stamp that's inside of this one of the cut apart pages, and we're just going to cut this out. We're going to ink it, and we're going to stick it inside of that envelope just like that. And it turned out super, super cute. And you can do this for any, you know, any type, anytime. So next I went ahead and cut out a larger one of the cut apart cards, and that is going to stick right in that little pocket. Super pretty. I love how this page turned out. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab some cheesecloth. Now, if you don't have cheesecloth, you can use some other papers or use one of the book papers. And what I'm doing is I'm just inking up an old picture, inked up one of the scrap pieces from the books pages that we tore out, and I glued down that cheesecloth. And now I'm just layering pieces on top of my page. And I even found an old white flower, and I went ahead and grabbed that, stuck that on there, and this old key that I had. And I'm just going to glue that down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back in and use the beautiful lace that is in our kit. And this lace is just super gorgeous. I went ahead and cut it down, and that's just going to lay right there on the bottom portion underneath some of that ephemera piece, and then right here up in the corner. And then you'll just cut, you know, the excess pieces away. So this lace is just so gorgeous. You guys absolutely love it. I wish I had more of it. It's so pretty. And then we're going to move on to our next page. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, this is an easy page. If you have a stamp that is like a journaling stamp, you'll just stamp or create lines, draw them like I do, and then you can just use this as a journaling page. I went ahead and stuck a little sticker down there in the corner, and later on I did add a little butterfly up on top of there, up at the top left hand corner. But this is a super simple way to do your page without doing a lot. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use some burlap, and I just cut this apart, and we're going to stick it on this page here. Now this page is the other side of the page that we just stamped, and you're just going to place some glue. I wasn't sure if I was going to use this as a pocket or not, so I just glued the left hand side and the top and bottom. And I was, like I said, I wasn't sure if I was going to use this as a little pocket or not. So I just kind of left it like that. I did cut out some of the excess pieces and just kind of dabbed some of the glue down until it dried. Okay, so next I went ahead and grabbed this scrap piece of book paper and went ahead and just kind of distressed it and inked it. And then I saw this super cute little kitten bookmark, kind of remind me of a little bookmark. I distressed it and inked it, and next we're going to go ahead and use one of my library pockets. So I inked up my ends of the library pocket, and then I went ahead and placed an insert pattern paper on the inside, and then I'm going to place this little piece on the outside, and then we're going to go ahead and attach this to the inside of our page. Okay, once I place my glue on the back of my card, I'm just going to go ahead and place that right on top of there, right underneath that little bookmark looking image. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the card that fits inside of that little pocket, and I'm going to distress that and ink that up real quick and then place that inside. I do place a little sentiment on top, which is when you get the kit, you have a bunch of sentiments on a whole sheet, and it is so awesome. So on this page here, I went ahead and inked up some things and then just put them on there and layered them up really well, and used the ephemera from the kit. Then on the moon page, I went ahead and just used a journal stamp and placed that on there so they can journal on there. And that is about it, you guys. So next we're going to go ahead and move on to the next page. Okay, so for this next piece, we're going to go ahead and decorate the little book page right here. So I went ahead and inked up a doily, and then we're going to go ahead and fold this bottom piece up and then fold it down. And it's going to create kind of like a little pocket, and then we're going to go ahead and tack that down, and then just tack up that little side there. And then you're going to go ahead and put whatever ephemera you want on top of that. And this is just a piece that I got from my stash. And then I added a little flower. And that was it. The next thing we're going to do is we're using a chipboard butterfly. And this is one of the butterflies from the Trace Jolie shop. And we're going to go ahead and I put Versamark on top of it. And then I'm just using my Perfect Pearls powder to place on top to decorate it. And then went ahead and placed some glue on the back and just placed it down. And that was it. Simple, simple, simple. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create two pockets, one on top of the other. This first piece is 5.5 by 5.5, and this is just a scratch or a scrap piece that I had in my pile. And I went ahead and just tore off the ends, and we're going to go ahead and ink around that. And I went ahead and placed glue on it to create a pocket. Place that on top. Then your second piece is going to be done the same way, and it's 4 by 4.5. Again, you're going to tear the sides, go ahead and distress it and ink it up, and now you've got your pockets. And then you're going to go ahead and cut down your inserts to the measurements of your pocket, and then you're going to go ahead and I put in some sentiments there on top as a little tag, and that's going to go right in there just like that. Then you're going to go ahead and create a second insert, and then you can decorate your pocket however you would like. Okay, here, this is going to be just like a scenery page, and this page is turned out so stinking cute. I absolutely love it. So this is going to be just a journaling page, and I went ahead and cut out that window, cut out the insides of it as well, and then put the moon on the back of the window, and then went ahead and added some of the sentiments that were found inside of the collection, and added the little girl or the lady, and then a book. I also cut out that hanging plant, placed that on the window part so it looks like it's hanging from there, and then just added some stars through here. And then after you add everything, I went ahead and grabbed my black marker or my black felt pen and just went around each of the stars to just brighten them up and enhance them a little bit more so they stand out. Then I went ahead and grabbed my journaling stamp and stamped the inside. For this page, I use a scrap piece of the book page, tore it, and then we're going to use this as a little pocket. And so I went ahead and added a doily, some sentiments, added a little girl inside of a metal frame, and then added that little envelope right there. And then you can go ahead and place that little card right inside. Next, for this one, it's super easy. All you have to do is just add a little journaling stamp or go ahead and draw some lines for journaling. And then here I added a little pocket. Again, this is one of my little cardboard pockets that I have in my stash. Went ahead and used one of the scrap book pages and just tore that down and then placed that on the side of that little image there that I placed down on the pocket. And I'm telling you, this is a great way to use some scraps. So just put things together and it's so cool. So to close all of my pockets and everything, everything that you see here in this book, I went ahead and added magnets to them. So here I'm just going to go ahead and place that down and you're done. Here on the back page, this is the very back page, I went ahead and cut out that moon, and then cut out the lady, placed her inside of the moon. So she's kind of like just sitting there. And I thought this would be really cool because she's sitting on the moon and you can see the planets behind her. And then I added some sentiments around, and then I also added one of the journaling stamps to this, and then added some of the stamps that are in the collection. I just inked around them and added them on there. And this was a super way to use some of those little stamps and just kind of layer up some things. And yeah, I just thought this was super cute. I hope you all like this journal. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so now we're moving on to the front of the book, and to use the little film strip chipboard piece, I went ahead and cut out some of these little pieces from on one of the pages. It's one of the cut apart pages. It has all the words on it. There's little pictures or images throughout that little page, and I went ahead and cut them out, and this is what I'm using for the film strip. And so we're just going to go ahead and place each one of these on here, and then you can definitely go ahead and cut off the excess, whatever you don't need. So on the sides, or in between the photos or whatever, or you just layer them up on top of each other. No one's going to see the back because it's going to be glued down. So we're just going to go ahead and add that on there. And this is a good way to use those little photos that you got inside of your kit. Next, I placed some tape on the back of it, and then I'm just going to go ahead, add some glue, and then we're going to go ahead and place this down. Now, I didn't really dress up the front of my book because we have the string that goes around, or it's actually the lace that wraps around. And so you really don't need a whole bunch of decorative items up on top, because you also have your little flap that folds over. So this is just going to be wrapped around and around the little button we made. Next, I went ahead and made another pocket page, and for this pocket page, it's super simple. You're just gonna need a piece of scrap paper, and that is about 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, I think, or about 5. And then we're gonna go ahead and use another piece of scrap that I had in the stash, and that is going to measure about 9 inches, and 9 inches by 4.5, and you're just going to fold it in half like I did here. And then you're going to go ahead and just mount that right on top of your pocket, so you kind of have like, a little opening for photos or something, whatever you want to put on there. And then this little piece is just another little scrap piece that I had, and I was trying to figure out what to do with it, and it fit perfectly on top of this little opening for this booklet that we did. And I went ahead and just mounted that little piece right on top of the front page of that little booklet, and then added some of the ephemera. And it's so cute. I love that little kitten, so cute. And so there you go. Okay, you guys, so I finished this cute little junk journal, and I have to say, this paper, I used every single thing from this paper collection. There are like literally, there's like a little bit of scraps left, but I just kind of, because they're just so small that we don't need them. So, but I just absolutely love how this junk journal turned out. All the pages, as many pages as there are in here, it just turned out super cute. And let's go ahead and take a look. So we went ahead and wrapped it with one of the sheets, okay, one of the 12 by 12 sheets, went ahead and decorated it with this chipboard piece here, one of the little plants. I didn't put a whole lot of stuff on top of the cover because it is a flap cover. This wraps around with the lace that you get in your this wraps around with the lace that you get in your kit. So it just goes on here just like this. There we go. And that's your little closure. So super, super cute. Opens up, and this is, like I told you, this is like chock full of stuff. I just absolutely love it. So here we made a pocket, and this pops out like this. It's just a little note card, whatever you want it for. Added some little photos that I had in my stash from years, like over 10 years ago. I'd had all these little vintage photos. Added some lace here on the side. Added my stamp here. And just on a few pages, did some little pages where they're just decorated, super cute. I just really love it. And then I added, on some pages, I added this little like library card where you could just jot down your thoughts or whatever. This comes out like this. On this side, I have a picture of a girl, and then this just comes out like that. And so here are just a few things that I did. So I just thought that looked nice. And then this here, this page has a little pocket with some like little papers inside of it folded up, and then a little place to journal. Again, I left a lot of different areas for journaling because I know a lot of people like to do that. And so I thought that would be really nice to have. And then here, another place to journal. This is, there's only really two things on this page, this stamp and then this little piece of the ephemera. The rest of it is just all the paper. This paper is so pretty, like you really don't need a whole lot of stuff. So here, added a little bookmark thing with a little ticket. Again, a little journaling card that just comes out. Another little page for journaling, folded back this little book page, added a little butterfly there. Some of the pages are just so simple that you don't have to like really worry about a whole lot of ins and outs. And I don't know about you, but I love simplicity when things are just kind of simple and you don't have to have a whole lot of stuff everywhere. Here's a little pocket for memorabilia or whatever you want. It is magnetized. Another little journaling spot. Another little page that's just decorated where you could journal. A little pocket made out of an envelope. Two little pieces of cards that you could journal on the back or stick a photo on. Another little pocket that's magnetized that you could stick something in there, and this won't stick in there, but I just want to share with you that it is a pocket. And then here is another little area that's just kind of like, you know, just there. It's just so super cute. And then it opens up like this where you can journal on this side. These are just the little cards that come in the kit. Here is a little tuck spot back here, so you could tuck some things back there if you want to. It's just the large window that's in the paper collection. Super, super cute. I just thought that was a really good idea to use what was left over. Here I used, this right here is actually from the mixed media kit. And we just tore it up and I just inked it, stuck it on there on top of the burlap that I have. A burlap little page there that I cut onto the pocket. And that just goes right in there. Another little pocket that's from an envelope. Actually, it's from this envelope here. And you can open it up, stick some little goodies inside, fold it over, and then another little journal piece. And you can go ahead and you can do this however you want. I just thought that it looked super cute. This is a little arm that had, I didn't stick anything on here because I thought, well, maybe somebody might want to put a picture or something on here. And this opens up into like a little waterfall. So you could journal on this or whatever, stick some things on there, memorabilia, whatever you would like. And so I just thought that that was super cute. And another little place that you can just journal. Another little pocket that for journaling, and I actually drew these lines on this card for journaling, and then it opens up like this for pictures or memorabilia, whatever, you know, thoughts, whatever, journaling. This is a little card that it's actually a painter's card that you get from the store, and I just thought that was really pretty, and it matches the paper. So cute. So I thought that was perfect. Here is another little tuck area where you could put some cards and stuff. And I just thought that that was super cute. You can interchange them. So if you wanted to, you could stick one of the cards back here. I just thought that was super cute idea. Here I used one of the Trace Jolie frames with one of my old photos. Went ahead and just did the page up and then added two little a pocket using my papers, my reading papers, and then just stuck these two cards inside of here, just like that, just for journaling. And then here's another little pocket that you can undo, put some little things inside. I just thought that was super cute. And then here is another little pocket that we made out of a book page. You just stick those in there just like that. That turns over. I left this blank so that way you can write in it, do whatever you want to do with it. And then here I went ahead and just did some lines down here for some journaling. And I cut open this window so you could see the moon and everything behind it. Added the plant, the book, the little girl, and the stars. And then this is the end where we go ahead and journaling again. Some little tickets from the ephemera pieces, and then some words and the moon and the lady. And I just thought this is super, super cute. I love, love, love how this turned out. It is super, super cute. And again, just go ahead, wrap that around, and there you go. So thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you liked today's project. And y'all, I will leave all the links down below for everything that I used that is still available at the store. So thank you again for watching. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. Bye! Thanks for joining me today, y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and head on over to Trace Jolie to check out their shop. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment, and join me Friday nights at 4:30 Central Time.